There are so many birds flying around here. So if you hear them, my husband and my daughter are obsessed with birds. So there's 3 bird feeders over there. There's bluebirds and cardinals and all kinds of chickadees and indigo buntings and all that. They love birds. Okay, so back to my story. In college, I'm in Idaho, of all places, walking without a car to and from class with my big old art portfolio in my art box, walking to class, and very sick pretty much. I ended up in the hospital once for a double eye problem. Oh, I forgot to tell you something. When I was 18 years old, we found a guy, Jake the Amish guy. He's the guy that does iridology, which means he looks in your eyes. There's a study, there is a practice where you can look in the eyes and see where the toxins are throughout your body. You can see where some of the problems are in your body. It's kind of like they say it's the window to your soul. Well, it truly is. You can actually see where you're sick. But you have to study to do it. It's a medical thing. So I found Jake, who did that, and kinesiology, which means you're testing your body to figure out what's wrong physically, not through blood work and things. So he put me on a bunch of supplements, and within 3 months, I had felt better than I had since I was 12 years old. And I was first diagnosed. Because at this point, they were telling me, hey, you're having these major stomach issues. You might have stomach cancer now. So I was scheduled for surgery, and I thought I was dying for a second time. And this is 18 years old. I took myself off of Plaquenil. I tried to stop seeing my rheumatologist and tried to start studying holistic medicine and how food can heal. And what that means, and I want to do a whole series on this, is things like, let's say you're having diarrhea. You can make a tea with cinnamon or applesauce with cinnamon. A certain amount of it can stop diarrhea. It's really good for your digestive system. Good to know. So I learned all of these little things to start treating myself. And I went to Jake every month, and he gave me supplements that I could take because my body was so lacking in nutrients. Because once again, I hadn't been eating. I was skin and bones. Now they thought I had cancer in my stomach. At 18, I had lupus. Wow, it still hits me. Moving on. Don't want to get like this. At 18, I thought I was dying. Scheduled for surgery for biopsy on something going on in my stomach. They ended up finding 6 ulcers later, which is why I started trying to treat myself. So, I went to Jake. I kept seeing my primary care physician, who was really understanding of what I was trying to do, because I was trying to heal myself with food and supplements and nutrients and things that I knew I needed. So within 3 months, I had felt better than I ever had. I had had the surgery as well and found out that I had the 6 ulcers. So I was convinced that the doctors were trying to kill me. So I went off everything except for my levothyroxine, which is vital for life for me. If I don't have those things, I will eventually die. Very miserable death, honestly. I lived life. I moved to college. Thanksgiving, my parents were poor. We had 6 kids. I have 5 brothers, and my dad worked mostly away from the home so he could make enough money. And I went to school mostly on scholarships. I think my parents paid for a lot of it too, which bless them. In college, I couldn't come home for Thanksgiving. So the bishop of my ward there, my dad had called and asked if I could join them for whatever they were doing for Thanksgiving. Well, they went snowmobiling in Island Park, Idaho. So I went there and had a great time, spent Thanksgiving with them in a cabin up in the middle of nowhere, a little A-frame cabin, and their extended family. And on the last run of the last day, I went off a little cliff and hit a tree and broke my arm in half. You can see the wires if you look closely. There's wires going through my bones, holding it together, and there's a big old screw that goes in right here and goes all the way down here. Well, of course, this set off an immune system storm because I broke it. I ended up in the hospital. That was the worst experience ever. I'll tell that story at another time because I ended up having, they thought I was dead because I hit a tree. No, my arm hit the tree, I wrapped around the tree, and then the snowmobile slammed into my back. so I hurt my back as well. We were in the middle of nowhere, not even cell service, so they had to throw me on the back of a snowmobile, tie my arm up inside my jacket with a shoestring off of somebody's boots, and they had to snowmobile me like that, and I was in total shock, and they had to snowmobile for an hour to get to a place where we could even make a phone call. Yeah, that was another time that was agony. So after surgery, 2 weeks later, I fell again on the ice in Idaho and broke it again, which is why there's a giant screw in there now. First it was pins, but I eventually had to come home at Christmas, and I never went back to school. And I have to stop now.